Jason Morgan is a changed man, and the implications of that change are about to send shockwaves through every single family in Port Charles. Let me explain exactly why this particular shift in Jason's character is hitting me so incredibly hard. I keep thinking about the history here, the decades of trauma and missed opportunities. For years, we have watched Jason sacrifice his own flesh and blood, his own happiness, his own peace of mind, all for the sake of blind loyalty to Sonny Corinthos and Carly Spencer. We watched him miss out on Danny's childhood. We watched him miss out on Scout's milestones. Every single time he had a chance to build a normal, safe life, the mob pulled him back in, and he allowed it to happen. He always chose the violence. He always chose the loyalty to the organization over his own children. But this time, the WSB captivity broke something deep inside him. Or maybe it finally woke something up. When he looked at Danny and basically declared that his son is his absolute top priority, I felt a massive lump in my throat. This is the Jason Morgan we have begged for since the late 90s. A father who actually wants to be a father. He isn't rushing to Sonny's side to help him fight Jen Sidwell or whatever new threat is looming. He is choosing his boy. And honestly, it shatters every single expectation we had for his highly anticipated return. It feels like a massive weight has been lifted off the character's shoulders, and as a longtime fan, it is incredibly cathartic to witness. But it goes even deeper than that. I keep thinking about what this means for Scout. If Jason is truly committing to this new path, I firmly believe he will want to bring Scout into his life on a full-time basis. Even if he has to fight Drew Kane for it, I can see Jason wanting to build a real, tangible home where Danny and Scout can grow up together, away from the shadow of the Corinthos cartel. Imagine Jason Morgan, the former mob enforcer, trying to navigate school drop-offs and sibling rivalries. It is such a stark contrast to the man who used to clean up crime scenes. And that contrast is exactly why this storyline has so much potential. It is a complete reinvention of a legacy character. And it hits hard because it feels earned. He didn't just wake up and decide to change. He was stripped of his freedom, held captive by the WSB, and forced to reevaluate every single choice he has ever made. Now, I have to admit, I am completely torn. I love this storyline so much because it finally gives Jason the character growth he has desperately needed. Seeing him want to build a safe, quiet life for his children is beautiful. It is everything a longtime fan could want for a character who has suffered so much trauma. But something still bothers me, guys. I am so incredibly frustrated by the collateral damage of this epiphany, specifically when it comes to Britt Westbourne. Britt is sitting there, heartbroken, realizing that Jason isn't running back to her. After everything she has survived, the terrifying fake Huntington's disease diagnosis orchestrated by Ross Cullum and Jen Sidwell, the absolute terror of being on the run in Tortola, the trauma of being arrested and thrown in a jail cell, she is left out in the cold. And I hate it. I hate that Jason's growth has to come at the expense of a romance that had so much incredible potential. Part of me is screaming at the television, begging him to just go check on her, to just hold her and tell her she is safe now. But another part of me knows that if he does, he risks getting pulled back into the chaos. It is this agonizing push and pull. I love that he is choosing his kids, but I am so frustrated that the WSB had to literally imprison him to force this realization. Why couldn't he just wake up one day and choose his family? Why did it take a traumatic hostage situation to make him see the light? And why does Britt have to suffer the consequences of his newfound boundary? She finally has her freedom. She finally knows she isn't dying of a genetic disease, and the man she loves is keeping his distance to protect his son. It is brilliant, tragic soap opera writing, but it hurts to watch. I am so conflicted because I want Jason to be a good dad, but I also want Britt to get her happy ending. The writers are forcing us to choose between Jason the father and Jason the romantic hero, and it is tearing me apart. And this brings me to the absolute core of my theory, because I understand why Jason is pulling away from the mob, but I still think we are being played by the writers. Maybe I'm being unfair, but I do not trust the WSB for a single second. You guys know exactly how this agency operates. The WSB does not just release a high-value asset like Jason Morgan out of the goodness of their hearts, even with Jocelyn Jacks making secret deals with Z to pin Cullum's crimes on the deceased Cassius Faison. They always want something in return. Always. And here is where my brain goes into overdrive. Look at the board right now. Jen Sidwell is arrested. Ross Cullum is dead. Sidwell's vast network of assets is completely frozen, and that includes the grand, dark, looming fortress of Wyndemere. I strongly judge the WSB's motives here. I believe they are going to seize Wyndemere as a government asset. And who better to run a seized, highly classified property than Jason Morgan? I think Jason made a devil's bargain in that interrogation room. He gets his freedom. He gets to cut ties with Sonny's mob. But in exchange, he has to become the WSB's unofficial warden of Spoon Island. It makes perfect tactical sense for the WSB to sever his ties to Sonny by giving him his own kingdom, isolating him from the cartel while keeping him under their thumb. But Jason accepting this, I still think that was a massive mistake. Moving Danny and Scout into a Cassadine stronghold, a place soaked in blood, dark secrets, and centuries of trauma. Jason is trading one mob boss for a government agency that is just as corrupt, if not more so. He thinks he is buying peace for his family, but he is just changing his warden. He is walking right into a gilded cage, and I judge him for thinking the WSB will ever truly let him go. This is where my internal fan conflict reaches its absolute peak, guys. Because if Jason takes over Wyndemere, we all know that Castle never, ever lets its secrets stay buried. Part of me wants to believe that Jason will just renovate the place, tear down the creepy gargoyles, open the curtains, and build a nice, safe, normal home for Danny and Scout. I want to believe they will have family dinners in the Great Hall and forget about the Darknet. Another part of me thinks that is the most naive thought I have ever had in my entire life as a soap fan. Because what is hiding inside Wyndemere? Or, better yet, what is hiding under Wyndemere? We know Ross Cullum stole Jack Brennan's black box. I am entirely convinced that box is hidden somewhere in the deep, dark catacombs of Spoon Island. If Jason finds it, he holds the key to destroying Brennan, exposing Drew Kane's WSB ties, and completely ruining Willow Kane's life. The power dynamics of Port Charles would shift overnight. But that is just the tip of the iceberg. I honestly can't decide if I am ready for what else might be down there. Wyndemere has always had secret tunnels, hidden dungeons, forgotten laboratories, and sealed off wings. What if the WSB has been using it as a black site this entire time? What if there are prisoners down there locked away in the dark while the Cassadines and the WSB played their games above ground? My heart literally stopped when I thought of two names, Nathan and Sam. Guys, what if Nathan didn't die? What if the WSB kidnapped him years ago, faked his death, and he has been locked under Wyndemere this whole time? Think about James West. Think about Maxie Jones. The sheer emotional devastation of them finding out he has been alive, trapped under the island, is overwhelming. And Sam. Oh my God, Sam. What if her death was a massive WSB cover-up? What if she got too close to a truth she wasn't supposed to know, and the WSB or some other shadowy faction faked her demise and threw her in a cell beneath Wyndemere? Part of me is screaming with absolute excitement at the thought of Jason unlocking a heavy iron dungeon door and finding Sam alive. It would be the soap opera twist of the decade. The mother of his child, the love of his life, returned to him in the very castle he was forced to take over. But another part of me is completely terrified. If they undo all that grief, does it cheapen everything we went through? Does it ruin the beautiful, tragic mourning period we all experienced alongside Danny and Scout? I am so conflicted. I want Sam back so badly. I want Nathan back for Maxie. But the emotional toll of Jason being the one to find them in a castle he was forced to occupy by the very agency that imprisoned them, it is almost too much to bear. It is a brilliant narrative choice, but it is going to destroy us emotionally. I am pacing around my living room just thinking about the sheer magnitude of this theory. Jason Morgan, the former mob enforcer, becoming the Lord of Wyndemere, raising his kids in a Gothic castle, and accidentally unearthing the greatest WSB conspiracy in the history of Port Charles. Finding Brennan's secrets, finding hidden prisoners, maybe even finding the people we have deeply, profoundly mourned for years. It changes the entire fabric of the show. It takes Jason out of the mob and puts him in the center of an international espionage thriller, all while he is just trying to be a good dad to Danny and Scout. Am I the only one feeling this way? Am I completely losing my mind? Or are the writers actually laying the groundwork for the most epic, earth-shattering Jason Morgan storyline we have ever seen in the history of this show? Guys, what do you think? Do you see the WSB handing Wyndemere over to Jason as part of a twisted deal? Do you think he will actually be able to stay away from Sunny and Britt for good? Or will the pull of his old life be too strong? Or is this all just a temporary illusion of peace before the island explodes with long-buried secrets? Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm connecting dots that aren't there. But I can't help feeling that Wyndemere is about to become the absolute epicenter of the show. And Jason Morgan is standing right in the middle of the blast zone, completely unaware of the ghosts buried beneath his feet. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, because I desperately need to know. I am not the only one spiraling over this massive, crazy theory.
Goodbye. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the GH Spoilers Daily channel.